Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie and TV discussion in the multiverse. I'm your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he's no astral plane projection, Sweet Sean's a Kovacs from the internet.
Sudeikis and Munn on the same show now?
And it's sweet, and it's the Monkey Man himself, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and I've never had a problem that couldn't be solved by a monkey with a gun.
You got that right, everybody. Well, welcome back, everyone. This week, we are checking out our Patreon Select. What's that, you ask? Well, every single month, we ask the people that support us over at patreon.com/HMP what they would like us to watch. We give them a slew of things. They vote for them, and we choose they choose the top one, and we watch that. And for good or for bad, we watch them. Sometimes it's been bad, sometimes it's been good. This week, it's a very interesting outcome. But again, not only do you get that when you join over at patreon.com/HMP, get the pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and all this fun things. Now, Sean, I should have told you this ahead of time, but I think you'll understand why I didn't. But we've got one new Patreon supporter this week. I did not tell you this person's name because I feel like you're going to have to come up with this name on the fly. And this is what it is, and I can send you visual proof. We got a $1 Patreon donation from Maria Bamford.
Get out of here.
It's the name that comes up. That's all I'm saying. So Maria has,
I don't know what to say to that. I think
you think I might have been hacked?
I think the nickname should be definitely, genuinely, 100% who I claim to be. So it's Maria, genuinely, 100% who I claim to be Bamford. That's your nickname, Maria Bamford.
That's pretty
and I better
good.
be on the next marquee when you're performing.
There you go.
You got to widen that marquee out a little
look,
bit.
if it's actually Maria Bamford, fantastic. Welcome to the show. If it's not, good joke. Very good joke. So either way works for me.
I enjoyed it, and I had a good 2-minute straight laugh when that popped into the email there. I encourage more wild and crazy donations under the strangest of names that you can possibly find. Patreon.com/HMP. That's, if there's a money-making scheme to make out of this, by God, I'm going to give it a darn good shot. So, have at it, kids.
Isn't it terrible that Aubrey Plaza doesn't support us? Come on, guys, throw out some names so you can get those dollar bills.
Mm-hmm. So if you would like to do all that, patreon.com/HMP. So here are the movies that they had to choose from, or television shows in this case, that they had to choose from this month. We had, and holy cow, let me tell you, this was one of the tightest races we've ever seen in any of the Patreon votes. Except for who was in the bottom place, who got absolutely zero votes. I don't think anyone is excited for us to see Lock and Key Season 2.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that much disinterest.
Also in a slow one, but we got a couple of people who did argue for it in the comments section for the Arcane, which is the League of Legends animated thing on Netflix. But we, for the longest time, had a 3-way tie of Wheel of Time, Cowboy Bebop live action. But at the 11th hour, coming in with one extra vote, Hit Monkey got to the top of the heap. So
was that extra vote cast by Maria Bamford?
It might have been cast by Maria, but you never know. She may have been the deciding. I can actually go back. I never do it because I'm like, who cares? But you do have the ability to go back into the polls and find out who voted for what. I wonder if Maria Bamford voted on this one, or what's the full name? Because I got to write that down.
I've already forgotten it, so just make something up.
All right,
go back and listen to the tape.
Well,
you have the tape.
I'm going to have to anyways because we're editing extra in this show because it's a little bit off times. But today we're going to be talking about Hit Monkey. So again, thank you to all the people that voted for that over at patreon.com/HMP. And Sean, do you have do you have some thanks for these people? Because there were a lot of just the hashtag give Sweet Seanzy a break in the comment section.
Well, I cannot thank everyone enough. Thank you. Also, thank yourselves, because it literally would have been me just miserable for an entire hour. And I honestly, I don't know how great that would have been to listen to. So thank you very much, everyone.
Could have get on the Wheel of Time animated series, and that would have really done the...
I know that I have a hard time with sincerity. I've had sincerity issues my whole life, but thank you very much for this. This really was great. It meant a lot, quite honestly. So thank you.
Yeah. So again, patreon.com/HMP, pre-show, post-show Dinger Zone. We really appreciate all of those people. No matter how big or small, you get all of the rewards that are on the thing and stuff. So just do that. Just imagine if we weren't here next month. I know there's so many people listen to the show. If we disappear and we weren't on your podcasting device the next Monday, what would you pay to get us back for that entire month? For some people, like Maria Bamford, it's $1. For some people, it's all the way on up there. So whatever it means to you, put that.
I think the real question is, how much would it cost to make us go away?
A lot. At least for me. So again, patreon.com/HMP. We like all of you guys very, very much and appreciate you. Let's get into it. Here is the trailer for the television program that you picked, Hit Monkey. And by the way, I'm going to have to, just so my guys don't freak out, I'm going to edit the all the dirty words out later. I couldn't do it during the show.
You're going to have to kill some evil people that totally deserve to die. Because it's your destiny.
Hey, business or pleasure?
Oh, that's a great question. When you love what you do. Such a hard one to answer, really. Whoa! I wouldn't do that if I were you.
I don't want to make it weird, but you and me, we're connected.
Told you this was gonna get weird.
Original sin.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like a ghost leash. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what's going on.
This is a damn nightmare. You gotta find the assholes who did this.
Hey there.
And do this to them.
You look like a I never thought a 6-inch inseam would turn me on.
We get it. You're the conflicted killer.
What the hell?
We have evidence. It's time we put an end to this.
That monkey saved my life.
How do you know he wasn't there to kill you? Another hit on his list.
He's one of the good guys.
Your code? You're only going to kill killers. Do you really want to fight with one hand tied behind your back? Oh, I know you can use your feet too. That's not the damn point.
He's here to protect us all.
Time to get bloody. 2 dudes, 2 fates. I don't know about you, but I'd watch the shit out of that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the conversation we're having. Just the back and forth is incredible.
Alrighty, that was the trailer for Hit Monkey, and as you probably could hear, not for children, this program, but you know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Bruce, it says Marvel at the front. That tells me this might have something to do with comic books.
Yes, Hit Monkey first appeared about 11 years ago in 2010's Hit Monkey #1. The character was created by writer Daniel Way, who's probably best known for Wolverine Origins, and artist Dalibor Talajic. I don't know, did I say that correctly, Adam?
Sure.
Talajic.
Perfect.
Who worked on Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. And something I find interesting is that Hit Monkey was an early digital first comic on Marvel Unlimited. Hit Monkey is a Japanese macaque, and his comic book origin story is pretty much the same as in the show. An assassin is part of a failed political coup. He gets marked for death. He's wounded and taken in by a troop of monkeys. One monkey who doesn't trust the assassin watches him train on snowmen and learns his moves. The suspicious monkey gets kicked out of the group. Bad guys show up and kill all the other monkeys until Hit Monkey kills them. Like I said, it's what we get in the show. Where the comic differs is at this point, the monkey swears to kill all assassins and becomes Hit Monkey. At one point, Hit Monkey makes his way to New York, and Spider-Man and Deadpool team up to bring him down. Hit Monkey survives this and goes on to be a part of the monster version of the Howling Commandos, led by Dum Dum Dugan's life model Decoy. Honestly, it's fair to say that Hit Monkey's a minor Marvel character, but he is probably the only Japanese macaque in comics. Now, Japanese macaques are also known as snow monkeys, and they're native to Japan. You may be astonished to learn that no other non-human primate lives as far north as the Japanese macaque, and the three wise monkeys, which warn people to see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil, well, they're also Japanese macaques. But I guess Hit Monkey kind of ignored that advice. So I'm kind of out of stuff to say here. So speaking of non-human primates, Adam, do you have a list for us this week?
It's going to be the first explicit tag on HMP. Well, that comic connection wasn't enough for you. Let me sell everybody on this animated monkey show for adults, because this show has everything. Jason Sudeikis, Olivia Munn, George Takei, Tokyo, anime visuals that remind me of 90s anime, but better than they had any ability to be back then. We got head decapitating, monkey mouth spitting, snowman fighting, jet skiing, arm grinding, dual wielding, table sawing, gut spilling, force ghost, a fat kid with a cake face, and a show with a monkey, for heaven's sake. This show's got everything.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, I knew the name. I knew that Jason Sudeikis did a voice in this thing. I think I heard George Takei did something, but I had zero expectations of this going in. This was one of the only two things that kind of survived the, there was like this big animated block thing that, you know, that they were going to be doing on Hulu with all these Marvel shows. And the only ones to survive are this one and MODOK.
Yeah. Was Howard the Duck part of that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so they knocked that one out. I forget what the other one was. Howard the Duck was the only like big one that I was like, oh, that's a shame, because that seems right for it.
That character just can't win. That character cannot win, man. Every time they try to put him in something, like it all goes away unless it's Guardians.
Now, I'm going to say that I had never seen a trailer for this. Don't really know that much about Hit Monkey from the comics. He's just like a trivia question type character. Like, oh, he'll pop up on a team and maybe pull a gun. But it's like, yeah, I remember Hit Monkey. Have you ever heard of this character? Like, real kind of trivial.
He's a monkey with glasses and a gun.
Yeah. So I hadn't seen a trailer. I didn't know anything about the cast. I just knew it was coming out. I had zero expectations. Like, I didn't know if this was going to go like pure MODOK and try to be like super silly and goofy, or if it was going to try to have a little bit of an animated equivalent of Deadpool. I got to say, it actually found a tone that caught me off guard. Like, of the animated stuff that we've watched, I think for me, these first two episodes, I'd probably compared a little bit more to Invincible than any of the other animated stuff I've watched recently.
That's an apt comparison. I went into this also with no expectations, low expectations. I wasn't sure how they were going to go. You know, when you got Sudeikis, you can go one of two ways. You can either go gnarly Sudeikis or you can go goofy Sudeikis, and they went gnarly Sudeikis, which is correct, quite honestly. This show had the thing that many shows that we watch does not have, which is that, you know, I'm with my family this weekend. I turn this on, much to the chagrin of everyone in the room with me.
Whoa!
And then they slowly leave, but then slowly come back in and keep watching the show. And so, you know, my kids, my oldest daughter is a huge fan of animation, of any kind of animation. And so she thought that the show was going to be a silly show, and the fact that it wasn't held her attention. The fact that the voice cast is very well cast on this show, that kept my younger daughter's attention. And Adam, this is more your vein of like trivia for us, but the needle drops on this show kept my lady in the room. Like, she couldn't believe the choices of music on the show. It just completely surprised her, and she was thrilled with what they were playing. And it's one of those shows where I didn't think I was going to like it, going in. Like I didn't want to hate it either, but I didn't think I was going to like it. And I ended up liking the show enough that I watched more than the 2 episodes that we had to watch. And that's
I think
usually,
that says a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's a sign that the show is working, you know, and this is a show that works. I just don't know if the show is going to continue just based on the voice cast alone. You know, I mean, there are some massive fireworks happening between 2 of the mains on the show. And I don't know if they're going to continue working together. Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
This is the kind of show where they don't have to be anywhere near the same zip code at the same time to do it, though.
That's true. But I also can totally see one of the parties being like, they will never know the joy of working under the same sun as me ever again. I can totally see that happen.
Okay, let's put it out on the table. No one likes to work with you, George Takei. We just said it. There you go. You know,
so
no.
I think that, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Olivia Munn and Sudeikis were in a relationship together. They split, and immediately she became pregnant with John Mulaney's with John Mulaney's baby. Sudeikis and Mulaney had worked closely together on Saturday Night Live. My guess is there's a lot of bad blood happening right now between these 2 parties.
Now, did they go on Maury Povich to just make certain who the father is?
I think the harder get would be Olivia Munn at this point, but we'll see. It's such it was one of those very surprising moments where, because I don't care what's happening, like with, you know who they're dating now. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. But when this all came out, it was like, holy cow, that is a lot of crap. You know, there's a lot of bad blood happening between everybody involved right now. And quite honestly, there should be. And so I don't know if one of these people are coming back next year.
Can I tell you something awful about myself is I approach the world as if people in Hollywood don't have feelings. Like, I don't expect them to feel the same way that my neighbor would if one of his coworkers suddenly got his ex pregnant, you know, like then I would totally get it. But like, people in Hollywood, I just assume they don't have feelings, like they're not real people. That's a shortcoming on my part.
Well,
no, I've met some of them. They're soulless. It is weird though how he went to another chick named Olivia, isn't it? He go, like, you know, Olivia Wilde is now. It's like, look, I don't have to change any bath towels or nothing. This is pretty sweet, you know.
So I
upgrade.
Think that,
I'll take that though.
But to get back to the show itself, you know, because that's why we're here.
Yes.
The animation style, according to my oldest daughter, the animation style is a jerky sort of animation style where, like, it's not a fluid motion in these characters. And it was off-putting for her at first because she doesn't dig that style. But they use it to their advantage just because of the way that they plot their show, where it's fast paced and it's clipped, and you know you're going from one scene to the next very quick on the show, and it actually the jerky animation lends itself to the plotting of the show. And I thought that was a very interesting point that she makes, is that, you know, I don't care if animation is bad. What I care about is whether the show itself is good, and the sound has to be good as well. And both of those things are terrific on this show. And, you know, the animation style itself, not just talking about the action of the animation, but the animation style itself, it is, because it's the people who made Archer, it has that sort of.
I see it. Yes. It looks almost, but not quite rotoscoped at times. Yes. I see the Archer now.
And, you know, these guys have gotten so good at their job that they're like, not only do the characters work for the voice talent, you know, like the voice talent might not necessarily look like the characters that they're playing, but it does work with the voice that they have on the show. And it right down to George Takei's character. I mean, it all works. It's all good. And I like that the monkey, they get past the thing with the monkey, which is that the monkey should not ever be able to speak English, ever, ever, ever. And the way that they get around it is that the monkey can understand what everyone else is saying around it, which I think is pretty good.
Yes. And I also like it that they got A-list in terms of voice actor first talent with even the monkeys, Fred Tatasciore, who's done the Hulk. He's done like tons of stuff for Marvel animation. So, you know, because you'd think if there was a place you might cut a corner, it'd be the guy making the monkey screeches, you know, but they even got like top notch for that. But
isn't he the guy though that does all animals everywhere now? Like when you need an animal main character, you bring that guy in.
He very well could be. I don't know. I couldn't comment enough on that. I know the Hulk. You know, he's not Bruce Banner. He's the Hulk. Fred Tatasciore. Maybe he's done some Scooby Doo too. I don't know.
I was surprised at you know, because you see their names in the credits, and again, I didn't really know outside of Sudeikis anything going in, and I was like, Olivia Munn and then George Takei. I was like, oh, like, because those two can be hit or miss with me, and I was really surprised at both of them. I thought Olivia Munn, like, again, I mean, and this is to me, this is the best compliment I can give voiceover actors. Is like, if I don't hear you, you know. Yeah, I listen to that voice. I don't necessarily hear Olivia Munn until you, like, you know, you can parse it apart and go like, oh, there she is. And the same thing with Takei. Takei was the one I was really worried about because Takei has a very specific, mellifluous voice and everything. So I was afraid we were just going to get very much just George Takei. It's just his.
With Takei, it's more cadence than anything, and I'm glad that we don't have that cadence here.
It was like, oh, great. He's really. It felt like he's really acting here, and I was excited for that.
Well, keep in mind that the showrunners of this show, because there's two creators to the show, they are the same creators of, or at least they worked on Heroes. And George Takei's best performance of his entire life was on that first season of Heroes. He is a totally different human being than any human being he's ever played before. And, you know, I know everyone rolls their eyes when you mention the TV show Heroes, but that first season of Heroes is a banger of a season. It's very good.
It was great. It was a really good show that was just like, oh, this is something. And really, when you think about it now and how things have kind of related, it really kicked off a whole lot of superhero TV shows. I mean, like, we had to kind of walk before we could run with a lot of, you know, modern superhero shows. And I feel like in a weird kind of way, that show helped pave some of the way for these other shows.
Yeah. And with the first two episodes here that we're looking at, we really, for the most part, just get like the origin story. And like I was talking about in the comic book connection, it follows it really, really straight from the comic books. But the key difference is having the ghost of the hitman follow the monkey around, because it kind of works as an audience surrogate, because it would be kind of difficult to see the same show without the ghost with him. But that's not in the comics as far as I'm aware. And I think that's one of those key choices where changing things from the source material does improve. Because, you know, you can have some thought captions or some things with the monkey on a page that just isn't going to work on a TV show.
Yes, totally agree. You know, that one of the creators of the show, Will Speck, he directed the pilot and I think a couple other episodes too. Will Speck and a couple other people made the show Cavemen based on the Geico Cavemen.
Oh my gosh.
But they had to recast the cavemen.
And well, I mean, geez, that's one of the myriad of problems of having a show about the Geico caveman.
The caveman is the numero uno problem.
You know what would be an awesome show? Because these guys clearly have a very different sense of humor than what that show required. Is that you have all of these guys who are hamstrung and they like, you know, like their humor is violent and their humor can be dirty. And, you know, that's kind of the way they go with this stuff. You know, this show has one of the best lines ever, which is, oh, you don't know what Las Vegas is? Imagine that the happiest place on earth had a baby with the most miserable place on earth.
Beautiful.
Like, that is an amazing, amazing line. And the people who come up with that line probably shouldn't be running Cavemen, the sitcom.
Yeah.
And so what a great show would be is the behind the scenes of these very creative, very funny people who are, you know, like 70% angry all the time, having to do a lighthearted show based on, you know, maybe not the cavemen because it's too close to their real lives, but like the crash test dummies or something like that.
Sort of like a Barton Fink for a new generation. I'm into it.
Exactly. That would be a show that I would totally watch, although I would never watch the actual show itself.
Yes. I mean, it's kind of like a different take. Also, the 30 Rock take. Yeah, I know you're a big fan of 30 Rock. Same idea. The show stinks, but behind the scenes is great.
Look, if you want to hear me pontificate about the genius of 30 Rock, I can certainly do that. The best thing they ever did on that show, the reason why that show lasted for as long as it did, is that the sketches were always terrible on purpose because the show was the worst show on TV. That was the show within a show.
Okay.
And that is genius.
I promise to get us back on track, but I'll have one final pitch, Adam.
All right.
30 Rock, no questions. Just me and you letting Sean pontificate about 30 Rock for an hour each week.
That's a show that I can get behind producing.
30 Rock, no questions.
You and I show up there as the bookends, and we just kind of be like, and begin. And then he just
I could honest to God do a dissertation on why 30 Rock is the greatest show of all time. I totally could.
And we just let him go.
So when it comes to the Hit Monkey show, I'm catching on that you like this more than you expected to, Sean. I had no expectations. I would not have watched this show if not for the podcast. Like, I would not have watched this show on Me Time at all, because I've taken to almost going out of my way to avoid Hulu after, the last few comic book adaptations I've seen on Hulu.
I thought you were going to say, like, I would stop watching Hulu after 8 p.m. Nothing good comes on after 8 p.m. in the Hulu.
Well, that's the joy of Hulu. I don't watch it after 8 p.m., but I can still see what I want. Adam, I don't know if I got an idea.
Watch something after Jeopardy. No, thank you.
I don't know if we've gotten a feel for how you have taken to the show. I feel like me and Sean have talked more about how we feel, and we haven't heard from you.
I liked it. I thought it was a very interesting concept. When, spoiler alerts. You kind of hear it in the trailer there and everything. But when, again, this will also have to work with, we don't hear the characters' names enough, I guess, because the monkey doesn't say anything back. But Sudeikis' character, when he dies, I was just like, oh, that's how we got him, huh? He's only in for one episode. We kill him off, and then we follow the monkey on here on out. And then when he shows up as a ghost, I honest to goodness was surprised. I was like, oh, okay, all right, so he's going to be in the show.
Me too.
So to me, I think that's the best way to go into this show, is like having those no expectations. Again, I like the animated style. It's not, again, it feels like a lot of kind of that 90s anime where there's not, like you said, a little bit jerky, where it's not the full amount of frames that you would normally see. So it half ghosts a little bit. And you see a lot of that in the first Kill Bill movie, that same kind of style. And there's a lot of this, but the backgrounds having so much, computer generated stuff that still a lot of it looks very hand drawn as well. Still, it's really good just from a visual standpoint. Like you said, Sean, if people were walking by you watching this show, they're going to go, what is this? What's going on? Because it's visually distinct and different from anything else that you're watching. So it's certainly an eye-catching thing. And there's enough variety of it, from going into this, crazy futuristic Tokyo stuff all the way out to the Arctic, lands. And I like these monkeys, bringing them back together. I love the visual that we've gotten for the monkeys talking back and forth and having the comic book dialogue boxes, essentially, for the monkeys, so we know what they're actually saying. I much prefer that as opposed to just kind of guessing what we're all thinking. That can only go on for so long before you're like, what is the plot of this? But with that, it tells you exactly what's kind of going on. And I don't know, for me, it had that right kind of balance of stupid kind of humor that I appreciate. And just really leaning into the ultra-violent stuff, which I was, again, sometimes I guess Hulu in other online things surprised me. It's like, oh, yes, this isn't just regular network television. They can get away with a lot of this wild, over-the-top stuff. I mean, a lady gets bandsawed in half, for heaven's sake.
Oh, that lady getting killed was so awesome.
I was like,
just
wow.
Out of the blue, her arm getting crushed in the grinder, then she gets thrown on the bandsaw. It took some turns, and the monkey getting the fur shot off its butt. It had some turns in that whole sequence.
And
the other parts of that,
jacket and suit and all that kind of stuff.
The other part to that scene too is Sudeikis' comment after she's cut in half. Which half do you want to interrogate?
Yeah, perfect.
You know, and one of the big hurdles for me, because after your initial reaction to the show, which is, oh, there's a monkey that's an assassin. Oh, that's hilarious, right? That you have now 2.5 minutes to make me care about this monkey at all, and they do it. Like, I like the main character of this monkey, which I did not think that they would ever be able to do. You know, having the monkey be the best character on this show was the biggest surprise of all to me, because there's shows that I can't watch, even though I know they're amazing. Like, I can't watch Succession. I can't watch that show because there's not a single character on that show that I can get behind, because everyone on that show is awful. And so, having a show that's based around a monkey assassin, like, you better make me like that assassin. And they did. And I'm very surprised with just the level of dexterity that they're working with on this show. It's been the biggest. This is probably the biggest surprise of the year for me. And to be so late in the game and to be so surprised by something this good, quite honestly. And once I heard that this was done by the same people who made Archer, I was going to give it a bigger shot than I would with just about anyone else, because Archer is another one of those shows where it's just surprising how good that show is. And so I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm glad that I did, because I was richly rewarded. I mean, this main character of the monkey hitman is pretty great.
Do you think this show could find enough of a following to sort of pave a pathway for a CGI hit monkey, sort of Rocket Raccoon level CGI showing up in the next Deadpool movie? Because that is where he would fit in live action. They're sort of sworn enemies.
I would think that if anyone was going to, it would be Deadpool for sure. But I don't think that there's going to be enough eyeballs on this thing because of what the title of the show is, because of where it is. No one knows anything about this show, right? I mean, you said it yourself. Yeah. I hadn't seen a single commercial for this thing. And the only way that I knew that this show existed was through you talking about that you wanted to see this on our show. Like, I would never have known this even existed if it weren't for you.
And to clarify, I didn't say I wanted to see it. I just sent an article I said that I found that said it premiered on a certain date, just to let you guys know.
Yeah, it's always, and that's one of the biggest things that maybe some people don't think about. With this show, we're always trying to figure out exactly when everything is, what everything is. And when we started this show, darn near 8 years ago at this point, our thought was, oh man, are we going to ever, we're just going to run out of stuff super, super fast. And so we initially started like every other week, and then quickly realized, there's so much stuff coming out, and there's 10 times more than what was out when this show started. So it's almost impossible to keep up with all of this stuff now.
Think of all the things that we dropped, like,
yeah,
we're never going to watch any more of that show that was on Hulu that we watched last year. Was it where he's like the son of Satan or something, and he's a detective or some
Hellstrom.
Yeah. That show was straight garbage. But like, after we were done watching,
remember that.
We watched like an episode, 2 episodes of that show. I can't even remember. And we all three of us basically were like, yeah, let's never watch this again.
I mean, just compare the way we feel about a live action Why the Last Man TV show now versus 7 years ago.
Oh, I know, man. I know. It seemed like it would be a dream come true that there's a Why the Last Man show. I don't ever want to watch another episode of that.
Yeah.
Now, what would be like the ideal spot for this show? Like you said, I think Hulu rather is a weird spot for it. Does this show do better on a Netflix?
Man, I don't know if it does better on Netflix. I don't know what Disney's relationship with Netflix is. It's a weird thing, because if you put it on Disney Plus, it's not bloody.
Yeah.
And if it's not bloody, it's not Hit Monkey. So I think this had to have been a project that started outside of Disney. Like I couldn't see Disney saying, "Hey, well, let's do a Hit Monkey project."
Definitely not, man. I mean, that's kind of what Hulu is going to turn into, is all of the dirty stuff that Disney owns is going to be on there. And that's what it should be.
And so far the MODOK wound up on Hulu, so I shouldn't say everything, but a lot of it, like Hellstrom, was something that started before I guess Hulu was owned by Disney, or at least majority interest owned by Disney. So it has turned into a place that they can place things they don't want to taint the Disney brand, not because it's bad, but just because, the material.
Yeah, you have that right against Moana, you got a problem. You know what I mean?
Do you think that Jeff Loeb is one of the how responsible do you think he is for what we're getting on Hulu? Do you think like with 10 being the highest, right? So is it just is Disney just giving him the leftovers and he has to do what he wants with it? Or does he pick and choose what he wants?
I feel like, man, I'm just guessing here. Okay. This is just what it feels like. It feels like there's sort of a double obligation where he's got things he can pick from, but it's not the A-list stuff. So he's intentionally picking the stuff that he can have more freedom with or something. Like, I feel like he knows he's irrelevant and they decided that he's irrelevant, but for some reason, no one wants to be the one to end the contract early.
The reason why I ask is because he seems like it seems like what they're choosing to go ahead with is a monetary issue where, hey, we've already got this much sunk cost in. Let's just finish this project and be done with it. And Jeff Loeb just happens to be at the head of this thing right now, because maybe I'm wrong, but he's still.
It really feels like that era when Prince changed his name just to play out the clock on a contract. That's really what it's feeling like. Like, Loeb's not a young guy either, so no. I don't know. Maybe he's got to wait till he can sign up for Medicare, so he's just got to do what he can do. He's only 63.
Oh, I also forgot Loeb was the showrunner on Heroes, so he also knows George Takei has it in him to be a good actor.
Yeah, and didn't he? Was it he at least in some part produced a little bit of Daredevil, right?
Yeah, because that was pre-Feige taking over. The pre-Disney Plus, he was Marvel TV for the most part.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, it's, I don't know how much he's actually doing on this, but hey, listen, sign me up for any job where I could put my name on as a producer, get a big fat paycheck, and do very little as possible. I'll take one of those fancy, title jobs. If
that's
you want to
good.
Give it to me.
That's good occasionally. That's not good all the time.
That's true.
That's where he is right now, basically. I mean, for the past 2 years, he's been Mr. Irrelevant, and that's probably not where he wants to be for the rest of his days. So my guess is that he's playing the good boy for right now, so that he can do something later down the line.
Is he writing comics anymore? I don't know.
I don't think so, but he was an Ike Perlmutter guy. So when Ike Perlmutter kind of got set down by Disney once and for all, and Feige didn't have to work with him anymore, I feel like only projects Loeb had started looking into before 2019 are the things he's working on now. And I mean, he's 63 years old, so I don't know. I could see how you're just playing out the clock and then you're going to kind of retire.
I think
maybe he'll be the new Stan Lee.
I think he's more curmudgeonly, like, and you could imagine there's certain times when the camera wasn't on that Stan Lee was probably a handful and a half. I feel like Loeb is like that all the time, though.
What do you? So this is for my own benefit. Who do you think would be if Marvel was going to go that way, right? Where Stan Lee is no longer with us. We're going to need the new face. Do you think that it's probably Feige?
It's got to be Feige at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the heir apparent in a weird way.
Yeah, it's weird, but I think that's where, also because, it's Disney now, like Marvel is a very small, like the actual comics is a very small part of the brand. So if you're going to get a brand ambassador, which is what Stan Lee was, I think you go with Feige. Or if they really just want a brand ambassador, maybe they try to get like enough Robert Downey Jr. kind of just like promoting the projects, even though he's not like performing in anything anymore.
Well, I think Feige is probably the best choice because number one, like he's gone like all the way from like Blade and just being a name that no one recognized to literally he is and God, this is not disparaging, but he looks like every dude in the world. Kevin Feige just looks like any guy that you would see at a grocery store. But he has cultivated a thing to where when Kevin Feige comes on screen now, everybody who is, at least a decent enough Marvel fan, you may not necessarily know the name, but there's like, that's the guy in charge. The guy with the baseball cap that's, the super pale white guy with the baseball cap, that's the guy who's, puppeteering all of this stuff. And I think he understands and is able to convey the importance and everything of all of these properties better than anybody else right now. And I think also, as a mouthpiece, he's great.
And also just visually, he's already got his brand. He looks like a homunculus wearing a baseball hat and a T-shirt with a jacket on, sports jacket on. Like everybody knows who that guy is.
I'm going to confess, I don't think I've seen a single interview with Kevin Feige that I can recall, at least right now. Does he have a little bit of a personality, or is he a guy who really, really does belong deep behind the camera?
No, I think he's got like I think probably Kevin Feige is great in a pitch room. I think I think he's got a great pitch about him.
I'll give you an example, Bruce. So they have their press junket for Hawkeye, and somebody from some entertainment reporter asks Haley Steinfeld, is there going to be a Young Avengers? To which she turns around and looks at Feige, who Feige just kind of gives like a don't say anything kind of face to her. But it's like a fatherly, like, don't you say anything. It's not like shut up. Like it isn't that kind of thing. And so, like he knows the role he's playing. Like he knows that he is, he might be a totally different way when the cameras are off. Maybe he's a monster. There's probably a little monstrosity in him, probably a little bit to get as far as he did.
You got to have that come out at like just the right time where you're the nice guy all the time. But if you cross him just at the wrong time, it could be a bad day for you. Right.
And I would imagine he probably has that. But the public image of him is as this like dad who is running everything, and he's pretty nice. He's a pretty nice guy. Like that's kind of the way he is. That's what he's sending out into the world of who he is. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea.
And I feel at least people believe that, he's the guy who's been steering the ship, and by and large, the ship has been steered in quite the correct direction. And so, like, as long as you're going that, you follow the captain who's sending you on the right way.
Yeah. And I mean, quite honestly, how many times have we said on this show, I have no idea, like when it comes to a Marvel movie, I have no idea if this is going to be good, but I'm willing to give them the benefit that it's doubt at this point because they've earned it. I mean, it's happened countless times for me where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to, like the Eternals. I have no idea if this is going to be good, but it's Marvel. So how bad could it possibly be?
Yeah. It's like even stinkers aren't, but awful. They're not just absolutely terrible. It's just like, all right, maybe it wasn't quite as good as, X movie, but it's still better than a lot of the other dreck that's out there, to be sure. I just think with this show, like, I wonder if this show would do better if, like, there was a better succession of these shows. For example, like I said, the shows that were canceled, if those shows also existed and they went boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, if that could have built like some sort of, hey, this is the new edgy Marvel television thing over here on Hulu. Come and watch that. But if you have MODOK, what was that? 6 months ago, it feels like. I don't know. Time doesn't work with me anymore. But that was a good while back. And
it was May. So, yeah, you're right at 6 months.
Yeah, so like 6 months ago. And then you have this. If you would have had, 2 other series in between there, you might go, oh, they're pumping out interesting stuff or stuff that's at least varied and different and weird. And Hulu is the place to do that, where you can have shows like Hit Monkey that are wildly violent, that have, just a lot of adult content in it. And I feel like there's a chance that this could thrive over there, but I don't know that they necessarily know what to do with it. Maybe you need somebody like a Feige hype man or something to point your ship in that right direction. But we shall see. But before we get to our final review of these first 2 episodes of Hit Monkey, and if we'll be going back to watch any more, you got to ask yourself this question, because I ask myself every single week, is how can the property that we're reviewing this week be related back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone?
Why, thank you, Adam. I happen to have a prepared statement.
Oh my.
Boy,
pregnant pause. I like it.
My computer's going all over the place. Okay, here we go. Hello, Mr. Stallone. This week's connection to you is pretty loose. As it turns out, every person who worked on this show called Hit Monkey has never worked with you. No one took a meeting, no press junket, nothing. It's as if you have no connection to the television show Hit Monkey whatsoever. I mean, after doing some digging, it's like you never even worked on anything with a monkey ever, movie or TV show. Or have you? I'm sure you remember, but your first directing job was working on a film you wrote, directed, and starred in, Paradise Alley. The reason I bring it up is because the movie had 42 seconds cut out by the British Board of Film Censorship. Was it because of sexy, sweaty scenes? Maybe it's too ultra-violent? Or maybe it's because there's a scene where a monkey is tethered and gagged in a closet. Yep, it's the third one. There's a scene where a monkey is tethered and gagged in a closet. And I believe I speak for everyone when I say, what? I have to admit, I never wanted to see Paradise Alley before learning about the monkey in the closet, Mr. Stallone. Now I want to know everything about it. I want to know who thought it was a good idea. I want to know why the studio thought it was okay to spend lots of money on a scene where a monkey is all tied up. I want to know how long it took to light that scene. I have to ask the question, though. Is the monkey in the movie a lot? Because if it isn't, I'm probably not going to like your movie. But the tagline is the Carboni Boys. They haul ice, they lay out stiffs, and dance with monkeys. Did you write that tagline? Because it totally feels like you did. I bet that if I asked you if you thought you were funny, you would say yes, just based on that tagline alone. But how funny? Do you think that maybe you should have been a stand-up comic? Do you think you could have had a one-man show on Broadway? And most importantly, do you think that you could replace Schwarzenegger in every funny movie he's ever been in? Even Jingle All the Way? I wonder. And there it is, Mr. Stallone. This week's Stallone Connection is performing acting monkeys. I'll try to do better next week. Your pal, Sweet Shawnzy from the internet.
I can't believe that it didn't get mentioned in this review at some point, but I feel like I know the answer here. But what are you guys' takes on any of that, like, live action monkeys, like dressing them up and having them do like, scene work and stuff like that, recreating famous movies or whatever the heck it is that they do?
I don't like it now. I mean, I think you can do it without aggravating the monkeys. Like, I love an animated equivalent of that, but I've reached the age where I feel bad for the monkeys if they have to dress up in
I don't
costumes.
want them to feel bad about it, but some of them look like they're having a time.
There is there was a time where, and that time was me in high school, where somebody told me about the show Lancelot Secret Chimp.
Yes, a great show.
What was it again?
Lancelot Chimp or something. It was like a chimp detective.
Huh.
Yeah, he gets name dropped in my Detective Chimp video, Adam. You can go watch that and learn all about Lancelot.
I was always curious about the monkey connection here. So I don't know if do we want to review these 2 episodes, or do we want to talk about maybe watching some more? Sean, I feel like you've kind of dipped your toes in those waters. Maybe you could point us in a direction. What do you think?
Oh, I'm totally fine with just reviewing the show, because I don't know, are we ever going to get back to this show? 2, are they going to have a second season? I mean, I think that we should put our 2 bits in now, and then, we'll go from there.
All right. So far with 2 episodes, then Bruce, where do you put Hit Monkey on the Robin rating system?
It's good fun. It's one I'd recommend people to go into with an open mind. I say you do watch 2 episodes. I really do think that it should kind of let you know if you're going to like it or not with 1 episode, but the whole first episode is really the setup though, so I say give it 2 episodes, go into it. I'm going to give this low end Tim Drake.
Okay. Sean?
Yeah, I would say low Tim Drake, high Damian Wayne for me as well. It just surprised me, this show. They walk a jaggedy edge here, and I think that they do a great job with it. That they could, if they went too silly, if they went too gross, I would be out immediately. But there is something about the way that this is so deftly handled that I really do enjoy the show. I'm probably going to watch more Hit Monkey when I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, I think I kind of fall in the same vein here. Kind of low Tim Drake. It's a lot more fun than I expected it to be. It was the style was just so interesting and neat. And again, we don't see a lot of stuff like that, or at least I particularly don't. So to me, it felt kind of new and fresh. And I kind of want to see where things go with the characters, because we only, like you said, Bruce, we only get, so much with this. There's a whole political angle going on with, Takei and Mun's characters and everything that, you don't get a whole lot of in the first 2 episodes. You're like, I'm running for office. I'm helping this person run for office. And there's an assassination, and you don't know too awful much. They don't fill you in enough. And so it does grab you enough to say, hey, maybe you need to watch more of these. And maybe we'll watch some more of those in the future. Lord knows there's always a couple of weird slow weeks here or there where we're just going, what do we watch? And maybe we'll pick up some Hit Monkey there in the future. They're all streaming, available on Hulu right now. That is it, everybody. That does it for this episode. Next week, we'll talk about that in just a second. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie, the best anime reactions and reviews you're going to find anywhere. And I got to tell you, the skits that have been coming out about once a week, they're big hits. Turns out I think I'm a natural for sketch comedy. People say it's the best thing ever. They watch the 1-minute skit and don't worry about the other 23 minutes of video afterwards sometimes.
Come for the skits, stay for the react. That's what I always say. Sean,
I got a great hairdo in this latest one.
What else are we doing this week that people might want to check out?
Well, wouldn't you know it, Disney Plus put out Hawkeye, and we're going to be reviewing that on our show, Hawkeye 30 Questions, which is not your typical review show. We ask 30 questions of the latest episode of the television series Hawkeye on Disney Plus.
And the best part is that we get listeners to write in their questions, and those questions get asked on the show as well. So not only can you listen to the show and get a different take than you're probably going to find other places, you can also be a part of the show. So check that out wherever you find podcasts. Just type in 30 questions. You'll see all of our 30 question shows pop up there. You can listen to the older episodes with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And what was the other one? Feel like there's one more in there. Am I missing?
Did you talk about the Mandalorian?
Yeah, we got Mandalorian 30 questions. There's a whole bunch of 30 question shows, so go check all those out. Just type 30 questions into your podcatcher of choice there. Like I said, that'll do it for this episode. Join us next week when we're talking X-Men 3, X-Men United. I can't believe we haven't done this. It's been almost 8 years and no X-Men 3. I wonder why. But we'll find out next week when we're talking about that. For Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portress. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Martini.